Yeah, I'm so hard. Me too today. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's 6 p.m. Do you know where your CROA board is? Right here. The whole darn thing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the board meeting. It's a meeting that was actually properly noticed and everything.
It was.
It was. And look at us. We have a quorum. Now, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call meeting to order and head into everybody's favorite part of the festivities, owner's comments. And we're just going to go in order. Catherine,
Hi.
you are number one.
Thank you.
Please come up to the podium and state your name.
Catherine Andres Mayo, residing at 2229 Celebration Park, Overland Island Village. Even though this topic is not on the agenda for this evening, I wanted to bring it up because there's been a great deal of discussion. I'm going to request that the board table any discussion or decision regarding Montessori until a workshop can be had. Raising discussion that the board Parks and Rec, which I am a member of, have regarding this. And I think all of us should be in attendance to discuss it together. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. That was short. I like short. Yeah, who's in trouble?
Longer.
No, you only have 3 minutes, Jim. Joseph, you're up next.
I'm gonna talk,
Oh, so you're speaking, but you're not speaking here.
right.
Well, we'll just table that. Jim, that means you.
Yes. Jim Pennell, 293 Celebration Boulevard. Ready tonight? One thing on finance, I just want to bring up, brought up in finance meeting. In January, we sold 17 homes here, which should contribute 75,000 to the capital fund. It looks like we'll be selling about 14 homes in February. That will also be about 70. The issue is when you look at financials in January, we had 30,000 capital income. And when I asked Ted about that, she said she thinks those are all December. Which means that even though the title company gets the money at closing, they are not submitting it to us within 30 days, if that's the case. And I think, so I've asked GM to look into it because we should be getting it a lot faster than that.
Everybody's playing the float.
Okay, my second issue is not really a CROA issue. It's more of a CROA Lex issue. If you're familiar with Scoops Ice Cream in Island Village, they come from Western North Carolina. They had 3 stores up there. 2 of them were ruined by the hurricane. So they're relying on the store down here for the water. Even before they came down, they tried to get into the farmer's market. They were told they can't. There's a conflict of interest with Killen. Even though Killen's doesn't participate, Killen's isn't open at that time, but they are told no, and they've consistently been told no. They just want to hand out free samples of their homemade ice cream, but they're not allowed to. They wanted to participate in America and hand out free ice cream to the people finishing the race. Again, they were told they couldn't. There are shops in Celebration Point, including the brewery, that's wanted to participate and told no. It's a conflict of interest because the tavern was complete. I think this is an issue. Maybe you all know about it, maybe you don't. But I think it's something, everybody, all these businesses pay into Canoa. And I guess the people in Artisan Park will call these businesses at Celebration Point and Island Village as fake celebration companies, maybe right, because they're not getting the support from Canoa or certainly not from Lexington. And by the way, at the farmer's market, people sell ice cream, or I'm sorry, gelato. It's gelatos. Coffee, no problem, Starbucks. baked goods, there's bakery, but none of them are for celebration, so they're allowed.
Also, food truck Friday.
What's that?
Food truck Friday too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just bring that up as an issue. I'm trying to support the company because Taco Don Andres should be opening here in early March. And I'm sure they won't be able to do anything because of avocados. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Is there a way? I don't want, I don't, but is that something that we bring to Canoa or how do we progress that?
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it would be Canoa members, bring it to Canoa. No,
Well, they're-
they're members of
I say they're
Canoa.
Canoa's been a company too, so can you progress it to Canoa?
Yes, we-
Okay,
Yes.
that's all.
Yeah, okay. Chuck, you're next.
Hello, my name is Chuck Hodgman. I live at 236 Longview. We're asking for a waiver on the late fee and the interest charge for the January 31st deadline. Unfortunately, I went to the hospital January 12th. Didn't get back till February 6th. My daughter was covering for me. She did do the electronic check payment because I told her how to do it from the hospital bed, but it didn't pay. So when I got back to the hospital, I went through the checking account and realized it had something that didn't work. Since then, I have gone ahead and paid the original amount that was due. And I would like to maybe reconsider for a waiver for the late fees and the interest, mainly because of the situation we were in. We both tried to bear our company time and money. And,
Have you contacted management?
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
we did,
okay.
and we could.
they told us that we had to
Come
come
forward.
to you and write a letter
Yeah.
of justification, which I did. And it's sitting in as part of the package.
Yeah, he's
So-
sitting in the ICU dying, so the fact that we could come here, it's pretty frustrating. Got a lot of doctor's appointments, but we have to come in person to fight for our late fees when we have proof he's been in the ICU all month. So I'm a little frustrated.
I will tell you, it's a little annoying that out of all my bills I pay each check, this is the only one that gets a service charge from each. And I know that you go to, it came to you after the fact, after you had made the transfer in the financial institution. But it is a little. And I guess I'll ask the question. Do we just turn the check in at resident services? Do we get a processing fee there? We don't. Okay. It's information works on.
I pay the processing fee.
Well, I understand it, but I mean, it's just. Yeah, it's kind
And
of-
I once got a late fee,
That's separate from the,
but that's separate from.
right,
Yeah.
this late.
So this is not on,
This, is that in this month's?
No. 236, you said?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
So Lauren, will management reach out directly and
Yes,
resolve?
Yes.
okay.
Is that standard though for them to have to come?
They don't have to come. It's just, it has to be on a board package.
Okay.
You want us to come to the meeting?
I just felt that, you know, my presence might lend some credibility.
No, understood.
I have no vested interest in it, just, put a face with a name.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. A lot,
We do
a lot of late fees get waived, so.
We love celebration, we just,
And you'll find a lot of, there's a high degree of understanding for the reasoning behind them being late. Okay, some people are just proverbially late.
I understand.
Thank you for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Mark,
Good evening, Mark. Spring Lake. Something I've been talking about for about 2.5 years. None of the boards have done anything. I would really like you guys to take a look at this and look for some solutions. And that's the pool and the barbecue pit area. The barbecue pit area of Spring Lake is, I guess, on Google and other places as a public park. Known about it because we talked about it, they acknowledged it. Yet, especially the summers, we have people from outside the community come in with a whole bunch of goodies, and around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, they park it out there on the table all day all afternoon until they show up, maybe around 5 or 6. There might be 30, 40, 50 people there. And twice last year with big parties, all the kids went swimming in the pool that shouldn't have. And the pool was contaminated, had to be shut down twice and cleaned because of all the kids that don't live here being in the pool. So one solution I would love to see used to be something that was common until various cuts in place, but we used to have lifeguards. I would love to see a lifeguard, someone checking IDs at the pool. I would love to see a fence around the barbecue area with a sign that says for CROA members or celebration residents only, where they use their key to get in. Otherwise, you're going to see me every month talking about the same old thing I've been doing for the past 2.5 years. I really appreciate some action. You know, a lot of times these parties go late. Sometimes they go 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I call the after-hour celebration cell phone for the people that are supposed to be patrolling. I call and complain that there's still a party going on, loud music, but no one ever shows up. So I tell Danny usually on that Monday and goes, oh, let me check into it, but nothing ever gets done. So please think of us over in Spring Lake and let's get a little security going. And as a side note, it would be nice to see the fountains going again in the lakes, like we used to have once upon a time. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Those are CBD. What's the process when, because this comes up occasionally elsewhere, what's the process if a resident sees somebody that they suspect is not a resident using residential facilities?
If it's during business hours, you can call town hall. If it's during after hours, you can call town hall and it goes to the after hours call service, which you will either get Jacob, Christian, or myself. And
Well, you'll get the call center
and they'll
Transfer. Then what happens? Just,
well, if we have staff on site, we will send staff out there.
and if not, will we send the security guys
If we
in?
don't, we will send the security people out there. But remember, you don't have security here 7 days a week unless school, summer or December.
Are we able?
But we usually have staff on site until 10 o'clock.
And I have made a note to, in this request to the security provider as well.
Okay.
to provide-
Because I mean, I've looked on Google and yeah, our parks show up as public parks because Google's just a stupid giant corporation that is never gonna check.
But we could, you can reach out to them and have those things removed.
Yeah, but they're still gonna show up as parks.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, like, look at Lakeside. Lakeside's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Lakeside has 3,400 reviews. People saying what a great place it is to go while you're in Orlando.
It's great.
So all we can do is go in. We can't fence up, particularly at a park like Lakeside, which is adjacent to downtown, unless we say, well, we got to shut downtown down. So I think we need to have some system whereby residents know that if they call and say there's a problem child, somebody's going to go check. Make sense? All right. Thank you. All right. Now, moving on to a motion to adopt the agenda
I'll make a motion to adopt with modifications.
with modifications. Second.
Second.
Modifications, please.
So in our packet, we have the green lawn service area investment fund motion. The committee.
It's not in the packet, but there is a.
Sorry, supplement to the packet, our printed packet. Basically, we're just ratifying the committee's decision, so we need to add that as an action item wherever.
Do we need that as an action item or can we put it in the consent agenda?
I'm just fine with me.
Okay, so that'd be adding, tell me what it is again?
Green lawn, so the motion is to approve green lawn service area committee request to invest funds at CIG grant.
To invest. Okay. How much money?
$20,000, 6.1%. Reserve funds 9 months, $70,000, 4.1%. 30,000 for 12 months at 4%.
Okay.
And I'll read the motion.
Okay, no, it's part of the consent. That's why I want to add it in.
Okay.
I'd also like to move action items B and C, which are reserve funds, to the consent agenda.
And move B and C to the consent agenda. Any other changes to the agenda? All those in favor of the adopting the agenda with those changes? Aye. Opposed? That's a nobody. How about approving the minutes? Motion to approve the meeting and the workshop minutes.
Motion.
Second, any discussion changes? All those in favor? Aye. Financials for January 2025.
Financials for January 2025, our capital fund is sitting at 1.17. Our replacement fund is sitting at 1.17, our capital fund at 4.24.
Do we have Jennifer with us? Or?
We do not have Jennifer with us today.
I could talk about January one.
Do you have a question?
No, I mean, Jennifer's supposed to be at all these meetings. And so it's just a point of, I'm not sure why she's not here.
Her new role, or she's been on.
She's in her new role, but she's still handling the monthly financials for Celebration until we hire a new finance minister.
Is there a reason why
she's not here?
She's in another meeting at corporate.
So then I guess for Grant Manor's discussion of if she's continuing on in her current role while taking on something else, then we need to make sure that she's.
We'll be getting somebody new though, so.
I know, but she's on till the new person comes.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
And our expectation is she's in person for this meeting, so. If that's not gonna work with her situation, then Grant Manor needs to reevaluate that.
We will make note. We do have that job. We are actively in the recruiting process for that, the replacement of that.
Do we need Jim or something? Anybody have any questions?
No, I'll motion to approve.
Well,
the
I guess
financials.
just, I was just gonna add, so January looks better than expected because there was 20,000 in farmers market income booked in 2025. So I guess looking back, it was a $4,000 surplus that we had last year. That was booked in the appropriate year. Market rec income was over 20,000 in January, which was a positive, and then good risk control on the expenses. Operating expenses were below 27,000 budget. Admin costs were below 13,000. So, overall, the only headline we're seeing at the moment is Island Village and the plots that they haven't pulled as quickly as we would have liked, have a budgeted. So that was a $28,000 shortfall in overall assessments that probably is going to continue for the next couple of months. But,
And that's just because Island Village is showing behind.
right.
Okay.
So that's something that's an overall good start from an expense perspective. See how it goes.
All right. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now it's time for some updates, committee and partner updates. Anybody have anything they'd like to share?
I would like to start with the dog park and just say they hosted a community forum on February 11th to get resident feedback on improvements. It was well attended. It was actually more attended than our board meetings. They reviewed feedback in their meeting. The biggest complaint was the excessive dirt all over and the need for sod, which we
Talked about.
Yep, talking about tonight. At the meeting last week, a plan was put in place with Exquisite that was there to minimize downtime. They're going to close the dog parks in an order that makes sense. And there's still one, except for 1 week, there's a dog park open at all times during that. Their future work is some shade in the small dog park and agility equipment using their own funds. That's it for dog park. For master plan committee. We'll be talking about the splash pad tonight. The master plan committee, in cooperation with the finance committee, has ensured that we have funds for 2025 and 2026 projects, including 851. So they're talking about a 3-in-1, the splash pad for this year and 851 for this year. And then for 2026, multipurpose courts and parks and park enhancements. 851 update. Is that a topic here or should I just discuss that now?
Not a topic.
Yeah, we just have the colleague,
Right, the number. So 851 is moving on a timeline of design drawings, March and April, construction drawings, May and June, bidding in June, contract negotiations in July, and construction in August. That's a rough timeline. Don't hold me to that. That's based on what we have right now. The hopes to occupy this year with completion of the building by end of first quarter 2026. There could be occupied while the outside's still being worked on. So there's some things there that could happen. That committee, the master plan committee, is also working on pool heaters and trying to figure out what's the least expensive options. And then they'll present to this group, to the board, options if we choose to heat any more pools. The last topic was this board tasked the master plan committee with reviewing the possibility of adding a Space Force plaque. This came as a request from the Veterans Club Celebration. It was noted that there are no known Space Force veterans that exist yet, and that Space Force formally exists under the Air Force. This was noted by 2 members of the committee who are veterans of other branches. The decision came, the recommendation coming back from the committee in a unanimous vote was that this was not a strategic decision that needed committee action, and they recommend no action be taken at this time. Just for everyone's knowledge, this was a request from the Veterans Club. There was a request from the Veterans Club to remodel and remove existing elements at Founder's Park. The committee wanted to raise awareness to not make sure this happens in the future because the layout of that was designed by a Boy Scout when it was created 29 years ago, who died shortly after. And so they recommend not changing the layout of the park.
Yeah, it was his Eagle Scout.
Yes, exactly. So good things from that group.
Lots of good work.
Lots of good work. It's such on everything that they're doing with 851. They're really pushing that timeline too, because they feel it needs to be done.
So
Those are
Is there anything with 851? I mean, I think at least this board, it will change in a month, but we're all in agreement that we're gonna repair this darn thing. We voted to move forward with that.
Yep.
Is there anything we can do to quash any, I guess, other hurdles that we're gonna encounter where they already full steam ahead?
They're full steam ahead. Once these drawings are done in end of March or middle of April, the design drawings, we'll be able to look at those. And they're talking about a reception area, the way they've expanded buildings, gotten rid of all the storage in the meeting rooms, pushed that to the back. So we'll be able to see a preliminary drawing set and then look at the timelines of things from that point forward, which will be end of March.
So we're moving forward.
Yeah, to provide further context, I think the board's decision a couple of meetings ago to not take the change order is assisting in the process of moving this further along, as there's now no known hurdles outside of the construction elements itself.
Is it premature to go ahead and schedule the whatever meeting that we have to do to the community? This is gonna be a big one.
Yeah, but we need to be at construction drawing.
Yeah, we don't know the cost or.
Yeah, we're looking at probably
July.
July. Yeah, I'm looking at this timeline. Because we got to do it after the bidding because we
Yes.
know the exact costs.
And bids in June or July. So right now that's where.
So it'd probably be a July meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're the one that presented with Master Plan Advisory Committee along with it, so.
Just like how Splash Pad has been going, I think that's a really good example of how they can hand projects.
Yeah, exactly. The
Present
way
them.
you're handling with the splash pad is exactly the way we should handle
The
it.
process.
Yes, the process, yeah.
They were started, yeah.
So our next action will be March, probably April, to look at initial drawings and then, yes, feedback there, and then move that along so that.
Tentatively, the April workshop is having Colette here to go over kind of the pencils down schematic drawings at that point. So then-
Yeah, really, those committees are amazing.
Yeah, they're doing a really great.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, and they're even looking, like I said, multi-purpose courts and park enhancements. We're not going to talk about that until August maybe, but they're working now on those things for 2026.
By the way, just a personal note, I love the idea of having our pools, all of them heated. Because we have facilities that are sitting there doing nothing for 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months, yeah, that came up last night. It's nice to have a committee that the board can say, can you handle these big things? Because we don't have the bandwidth for that kind of stuff.
And they can determine what the issues might be, the problems, the reserve costs, all of those kinds of things. I love it. Very impressed. Anybody else have some committee stuff?
Yeah, well, just along those lines, I think the committee too should look at reserve replacement as well, because Lakeside's coming up and the commons. So even though they're doing great on the new stuff, looking at existing and how that fits into everything.
Yep.
So make sure we don't lose focus there. But yeah, a couple updates for finance. We're talking about the regional bank and consolidating financial institutions. Only other issue that is currently underway is there was a review of the service areas and where the reserves are, if they're appropriate, and cash flow of operating. So that's something that is a work in progress that Jennifer was working on providing to the committee, and the committee is going to be doing a review next month. So that's a work in progress there. Quick on technology. I guess the biggest thing right now, sticking point for Gallagher is not sure what the interpretation understanding is on what the licensing is for them, whether it's a one-time fee, whether it's covered in the existing contract, what that shakeout's going to be. So that's, I think, one of the last hurdles there in that Gallagher project to then roll out. Training is ongoing, which is positive, and everything else seems to be moving forward well. So just that licensing piece of whether that's covered or not, and then determining, is that something that will be built into the CROA budget, or is that something that will be passed to the homeowner when they get their new car. So all things that need to be determined in the future. And then the only other technology update is our servers and network infrastructure needs updating. So some of it is pretty outdated. And I think there is a potential risk of loss of information in the short term. So hopefully Tom's working with Lauren and producing something that will come to the board on what's needed to improve some of that infrastructure so we don't lose anything historical, whether it be ARC submissions or governance history.
He's working on it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
We didn't have a quorum for rec committee. We're going to try and reschedule it. I agree with what Captain said. I think we should try to schedule a joint workshop if possible. Aside from that, so I think there are some other things we want to get together and kind of hash out. Communications, it's been quiet. I haven't really been paying attention to that. Service areas, we'll talk about. That's been honestly 99% of my time. So we'll get into that in the improvement plan discussion. We talked about Mattamy. You met with Mattamy a couple weeks ago. That went well. Anything?
I sent an email to the board recapping the meeting. They're moving on phase 2B in filing those plats, so we should see those in a couple of months.
Okay.
So obviously impacting the early financials, but it shouldn't be too long. They're starting on permitting for the amenity center in phase 2. That will be the last amenity center in Island Village. It's currently scheduled to have a playground, a pool, a gym, and then some meeting spaces with like a little kitchenette in it. The playground is tentatively scheduled to have shade over it already. And they've been asking for feedback from us on furniture, so it's usable and we're not running into the same issues that we have with the current amenity center in the village.
Have they committed to the pool being heated?
They have not committed to the pool being heated, but there was some discussion about a potential partnership between CROA and Mattamy of potential cost sharing, but that it was just a first conversation starter nothing is guaranteed.
Yes. It was the shade structures on the playground had been pulled out from the actual design plans. After our discussions of making, they added it back in. So that was a big.
That's a
Yeah.
5-figure win at least. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great.
And the pools, I mean, hopefully, even if we pay half.
Half of it.
Well, or just do it when the dirt's all there, rather than us having to tear up landscaping,
Yeah.
and years later.
I will say this phase is going much smoother with our new Mattamy liaison. They're very open and communicative. About
Is there anything like formal we could send to Mattamy if like we decide we want to just like, we're open to splitting the cost to maybe get
if you want
that?
to start that conversation formally and say CROA would be interested in partnering on this, and I can formally send that
Just,
I think
confirmation.
there's consensus.
yeah, and that way we can maybe. get the
Yep,
final
so we can start
We need
conversation.
to get the master plan through.
On the
With
heater?
Mattamy, no, to talk with Mattamy, like.
Oh, just stop.
As we're working through the plan, it's like, to be at the table talking about other.
I just feel like that would be more, because Mattamy is, I mean, I think they're being generous in their ability to work with us. And so I think that it would just be more frustrating to do that. And if we can get a win with the shades and the pool heater,
Split the heater.
then that's a win all in. Yeah. We'll just shut up
Along
and take
those
it.
lines, though, it doesn't listen to anyone but themselves.
Yeah,
right.
In fact, then she's having some inroads that can lead it down to more people into it.
Is it better for the letter to come from you or from the board?
It's the liaison.
It's the liaison. Okay.
They're just acting on our behalf.
Yeah, I'll copy the board on my email to them.
Okay.
So you guys are aware of what's said.
We're in a better situation too, because it was the apartments that built the previous rec center.
Right.
Mattamy's building this, so it is a different relationship altogether.
It's just a question on the shade structure is, are you getting shade structures, but they're compensating for a smaller park? Or playground?
It does not look like the footprint changed.
No.
On that.
So the schematics we've seen, it did have a shade structure on the schematics we've seen. We just notated that please do not value design that out of there. There was, we actually already have, but we made notes to put it. So
We are.
Good catch, Jacob.
Any other committee reports?
I'll go.
Yes, ma'am.
for lifestyles. I'll read the summary from the chair. Lakeside was illuminated with 1,000 lights last Thursday for an evening under the stars, a free concert for residents with Rachel and the Alley Cats performing live on stage. An Italian fare was provided by Reggiano's. On Friday, 250 daddies and daughters gathered under the beautiful lights to dance the night away to Never Grow Up, a Taylor Swift tribute band. There were lots of crafts and giveaways, including customized bracelets. Food was provided by Four Rivers. Murder Mystery Dinner is Thursday, March 28th from 6 to 9 at Artisan Park. The theme is Best Laid Plans. The Spring Fling is planned for Saturday, April 19th, 9:30 to noon at the CCFC Fields. There will be family favorite egg hunt, inflatables, carnival games, and a photo with the Easter Bunny. The popular celebration returns on Friday, May 2nd at Lakeside, and more information to follow next month. Also, I was gonna make a recommendation regarding Artisan. Since Artisan Park is considered a service area, I was going to Artisan Park Club, have the recommendation that it falls under service areas for committees.
The clubhouse?
And not have their own designated liaison.
And it's pretty insane right now, the number of service areas and the service liaison role. So I don't.
Well, I mean, I don't think they need much is the thing. So I wasn't going to say like, take away the, liaison, but still have that possibility if it is under, just have it under the umbrella of service areas.
Charles.
Yeah, that's what-
If you do bring that under, do you have co-liaisons for service area? Because there is plenty of work to be had.
We should make that much liaison role load, I'll tell you that right now, because people need to stick with their liaisons. And we need to make sure that we're not quitting, staying with them and we're workload balancing, because I think that's been a challenge this year.
Well, I mean, we could get it, that's a whole nother conversation,
Yeah.
but this was definitely, a recommendation that I was gonna make for the organizational meeting, so I just wanted to like bring that out now. I had kind of already, run it by management too.
We'll talk about the work meeting.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah.
I guess, hold on, just one last comment I would make on this is, while I attended the father-daughter dance, I think we really missed an opportunity in the fact that we were so stringent on the cap of 250. And, kids are only so old at certain ages, and it's something that I think that needs to be built into planning as far as projecting what the view is gonna be or how many are coming in, and I know it's difficult to do, but as a community, I don't want us to be pushing away people or turning people away, so I don't know what steps we take future to try to avoid it, but just something I think we should be a little bit more considerate moving forward.
I think that, I just want to touch on that, that was big conversation, and then I also had with management on that. And one of the things that the special events committee does after every single event, they go over like the positives and the negatives of that event and what changes can be made for like the future. And I think that's something that they're planning on discussing at the next meeting, that specific.
Yeah, and any event that's out there.
Mhm, and yeah,
If it's
and it's
possible
gonna
to
be-
include people, then let's try to work, make sure that people are included and not just pushed away.
Harry Husband, I'm here representing the joint ARC Governance Committee. Later on in the agenda, you have 3 design guidelines that you're going to look at. I just want to relate to you that regarding the recreation and play equipment, the joint committee asked for your input on a specific paragraph. And I'll be glad to go over the background of that when we get to it.
Thank you. Anyone else? CDD, you guys, you have anything from your end of the world there?
We've always got things from our end.
Oh, good.
Craig Freilich from CDD. Relatively short, well, let's say a short meeting, a long meeting, but relatively short as far as anything with CROA. The only thing, Laura and I had a discussion on trees. I didn't know if that was on the agenda tonight. If you want.
It's not, it's with,
What's on?
it's with Charlie.
Okay, so would that be something, our board was trying to figure out if there was action or no action. There was kind of a lengthy conversation last night. Would we expect something by next meeting of
Yeah, it'll come on the board workshop in March.
So it'll be at the bar, March. Okay. All right, the only other thing kind of interest that I mentioned at the last meeting, obviously had some lengthy conversations. The sheriff's captain came about the whole e-bike conversation, so we had a good lengthy 20 to 30 minutes with him as well. So no decision yet, but they are going to set a meeting between Jack McLaughlin, our staff, our legal counsel, sheriff department legal counsel, captain, and whoever else they want to bring that part to see, clarify some ambiguities in legal statutes and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we will start having something a little bit more actionable. But the definitive thing was getting with our board did vote to start getting some definitive focused action from our details, specifically around any safe movement violations, anything like that. We don't know exactly what that means. That's part of what the sheriff's department needs to go back with their staff and make sure they can understand what exactly they could stop a child on a bike for, so, or anybody on a bike. So we are trying to push it, but just trying to get some guidance to the deputies that are out there doing the details. Other than that, that was the only thing we had. Unless there are any questions for us.
The crosswalk, I saw they had some sheriff presence over at the crosswalks by Anderson. Was that from CDD? Or how did
No, that was on duty details. That was from our students. They do, they call it best foot forward. So that's a random blast all over the county that they'll do. Usually they do them around school zones. I was a little surprised to see that there. So 18 other people apparently.
Yeah, they got it.
Yeah, but I was glad to see that because that's one of the blind corners. I know going through town, and that's one of the conversations we had. That's a resident request directly to the county about getting some of those flashing signs at 7-Eleven. So whether or not we have a role in that process or not was some of the conversation we had. So.
Any other questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
And now the foundation. Kathleen?
Thank you, Don. As I was sitting here, I was reflecting on, I stand in front of you every month and I give you these dates. I say, get your calendars out. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And really, I think I need to tell you about a day in the life at Celebration Foundation office. What phone calls come in, what residents come in, what needs are filled, where we direct them. As for example, today, we had 142 applicants apply for our 16 scholarships. So reading through personal essays of how the spirit of volunteerism affected each of these students and how they're going to go forth after they graduate, the difference they're going to make in the world was nothing short of amazing. Notifying Phoenix Lacrosse Club that they got $1,945 for new equipment, the middle school and elementary school lacrosse team, so that they can get out and play together on Saturday on our field, and then hopefully go up and continue to play together in the high school. It's taking phone calls for the concerts and telling them they're not sold out, you can still buy tickets, but letting people know that the Vienna Voice Choir is returning to Celebration February 9th in 2026. It's hearing from neighbors that met at a porch party, that want to be a host at a porch party. But the only reason they heard about the porch party is because they were at Community Connections, where Tom Tucson, Celia McFadden, and Lee Moore spoke about all the entities in Celebration, and they got it. It's booking the sheriff for the Easter Ned Parade. It is talking about how many boxes the Celebration Foundation is bringing to our own shredding event in April. And then it's talking about the porch and yard sale and how many people can go around and buy us vessels that we can build baskets for our Kentucky Derby party or our magical marketplace. And then lastly, it's having an adult caregiver come in from our program, Thriving in Place, to talk about how his mother passed away this week and how she thrived in the Thriving in Place program. Not necessarily due to the foundation staff. It was due to the other program members and community volunteers and the drivers that went to Publix to pick up her prescriptions through the years. She was a flight attendant. Her stories had stories, Susie Peck. And she double dated with Elvis once. So anytime you want to volunteer and sit with our seniors and hear their stories, you can come to 690 Celebration Avenue. I want to thank Creation Village World School because their students are pen pals with our Thriving in Place members. So I'm lastly going to leave it at this. We have 2 board seats. Your board members, you're here every month. It's the spirit of volunteerism. That's what makes Celebration what we are. And we could not do it without everyone. So Andrew, thank you for your service. Celia, thank you. But everyone else, thank you for being a resident in Celebration.
Thanks, Kate. All right, next up is the consent agenda. Motion to approve. Any discussion?
Not on consent?
Oh, just to make sure. They want that to change or add? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Action items. A, this is going to be we need a motion to approve the splash pads
I'll
for
make,
Lakeside Park, and then we have a community presentation.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second, all right, now for the community presentation. Jacob.
Absolutely. First, we're going to bring up Joe to do a quick little update on the project, and then I'll go through the patient before we bring Rick to this USA to answer any of the board's questions.
Thank you and good evening. It's great to be here and thank you all for your continued support. So 2 weeks ago, we were here taking you through the details of the splash pad, and I'm excited that after a 4.5-month rigorous RFP process, that we've concluded, we're excited to recommend Splash Pad USA to be our vendor. Now, this is the first of several initiatives as part of the master strategic plan, and we're excited for that. This project, as you'll see the details, Jacob will read you through it, but it will consume about less than 15% of our capital reserves. It's coming in about $10,000 less than our budget. And so we're just excited that we're going to be able to, add this tremendous family-friendly recreational space downtown. We took a tour of it this afternoon with Rick, who's the Vice President of Operations for Splash Pad. He's just joining us tonight. Come on, join. Anyway, just in closing, because all the continued support from Greg Manners, from the board, from the community, from the other committees that we're working with, and a big shout out to Jacob for all the work he's doing. So this is the easy part now. The hard part will come is now as we manage this project and get it done. And I'm just excited to be able to be here. And I'll turn it over to Jacob. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in compliance with the Celebration Resident Owners Association bylaws 3.17U, we're doing a presentation for all projects over $250,000 in the capital project. This project was presented to the board with a set budget of $600,000 for the replacement of the lakeside kiddie pool with a new splash pad at the recommendation of the Master Plan Advisory Group's 2020 final report. As this project is a significant improvement to the existing amenity, this funding would come from the CROA Capital Fund in the amount up to $589,500. The refurbishment or outfitting costs of this project. The established $600,000 budget is intended to include the design build of a splash pad and inclusive to the RFP out of scope items of running electrical and plumbing to the splash pad and landscape repairs caused by construction. Contingencies for the cost overruns. The established $600,000 budget for the kiddie pool demolition and splash pad installation, including permitting taxes and $19,000 in contingencies for unexpected expenses. Change orders and overruns are not anticipated. However, the board will determine whether to address those from capital reserves or operations at the time they may arise. Scroll down. The reserve balance impact. The lakeside pool furniture is scheduled for replacement and repairs in 2025. The splash pad will need 6 to 4 metal benches as an alternative to the current kiddie pool furniture and is expected to be funded by utilizing existing funding from expenditure allocations of up to $14,500 from line 1.306, the allowance for furniture, including fabric replacement and repairs, which has a total allocation for $14,979. The current lakeside kiddie pool furniture has reached the end of its useful life. If the splash pad project is not approved, the funding allocation in line 1.306 was planned to be used this year for chair replacement. However, if the splash pad project proceeds, the funds can be instead used to purchase benches for the lakeside area, splash pad area. This serves a similar purpose and will not impact the expected reserve fund expenditures for this line item in 2025. Jesus, as I scroll, okay. The future reserve contributions will be required to be adjusted based on the expected cost to replace and repair the new splash pad. The reserve study currently does not provide metrics on expenses, and if built out, would be an added consideration of the 2027 reserve study. In accordance with the CROA Master Plan Advisory Committee, the Impact 2024 final report, an annual increase reserve fund contribution of $20,000 should be considered. To remain on the conservative side of funding and to align with other line items contributed or contribution comparison, we will maintain the 12-year partial renovation anticipation and will retain the reserve study anticipated annual inflation rate of 3.3% with a starting replacement cost of $300,000. The additional 6 years are outlined in this, which is on page 268 in the board packet posted online. The capital balance improvement. The capital fund will be impacted by the $589,500 project cost, which falls below the $600,000 budget proposed by the Master Plan 2024 final report. As of February 1st, the capital fund balance exceeds $4,100,000. Thank you. This project is projected to utilize less than 15% of the available funds in the capital balance. The operating cost impacts. Operating costs for a splash pad will preliminarily include annual permits, electricity, water usage, and general maintenance. Based on the Impact 2024 final report, anticipated annual operating costs are estimated to be at $30,000. The current kiddie pool is aging and requires more frequent repairs and increased annual maintenance. Removing this kiddie pool will eliminate these associated operating expenses and heavily offsetting the annual maintenance costs of a new splash pad. The splash pad, like the kiddie pool, will utilize a recirculating water system, which should not significantly increase water consumption. Funding alternative being considered at this time. There are no funding alternatives being considered as the project funding was discussed over multiple CROA board workshops and meetings. Concludes the 3.17U presentation. Thank you.
Any questions for anyone here? From anyone here?
Jacob, on the reserve, was that provided by management or was MPAC reviewed or finance? Those numbers?
That was discussed.
Replacement.
Sorry, that was discussed by the Impact stakeholder group. So the splash pad stakeholder group. This is just in regards to what furniture would be used in that space. The splash pad itself doesn't require any. We were just out of consideration would be putting benches in that area.
Are you talking about the 25?
Yeah, why are we, if we're gonna do a $600,000 project, why are we funding it for half of it?
No, that's for future.
Right, future.
Because we're not gonna have a lot of the expenses that we have putting it in new.
So we're just funding, like the 300,000 takes into consideration the equipment, not the whole, like,
Yeah.
The plumbing and electricity could be used.
yeah.
Through the warranty, several of the products are warranty for 30 years, et cetera. So it's.
So that 300,000, that wasn't MPEG number used, or is that?
Yes, that was
Okay.
mainly, but.
Okay.
What's the useful life of the splash?
It's all dependent on how it's maintained, you know, just like anything else. And if you maintain it properly, I mean, there's a few key items without getting into the weeds. One of them is to make sure that your water's not hard water. And so it doesn't, ruin the features. That's an automotive paint. that has a UV, it's just like a vehicle paint. And so if you maintain the water, and then, you maintain it properly, we'll send out a maintenance manual, and winterization. And just taking care of it all. The deck coating is a non-slip surface that if you make sure it stays clean and power wash it and then reseal it every 2 or 3 years, it can last, it can last and last. But typical lifespan, after 30 years is usually when a splash pad, that would be considered an old splash pad. And,
Yeah.
but splash pads have come a long way in the last 10 years. They were kind of a new item, and now it's maintaining the deck coating, the equipment, making sure the recirculating equipment's in order, and just having someone, who knows what they're doing to maintain it.
So I saw in your cover letter, and this is a good conversation, because we have a problem maintaining things, just to be candid. So it looks like after you do the installation, you're still here for the life of the splash pad, providing information on how to maintain it, best practices. So you're here the entire life cycle.
Absolutely.
Along the way. Okay.
We'll always be here. We always follow up with past clients, and we search out to make sure that they're maintaining it right, because it's important. So.
Do you provide like a typical maintenance schedule or anything?
Yes.
Along the lines, so that's all been furnished?
That's all will be furnished to you, yes. Yeah, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly.
This is a really tactical question, but so is this splash pad intended to be continually on or is it on a trigger system?
It's on an activation switch, so the kid will touch it and then it will run whatever you set on the controller, and then it will shut off automatically.
Okay, and the existing recirculation system, is that the same recirculation system that's being used for the existing kiddie pool, or is this completely new?
It's all standalone, brand new.
Okay, so if it's standalone and brand new, that means you don't have a heater, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's why I said winter, there's winter.
I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah, we'll have a heated pool, but not a heated splash pad.
But yes, you can still run a cold splash pad.
Right. Well, and the great thing about splash pads is as the water, because it's 0 depth, it's not a splash park. The water does heat up on that surface and then it recirculates to the tank. So thankfully, on a recirculating, it's not too cold for the kids. Free flows can be very cold for the kids.
Yeah.
But it should be warm.
No, that makes sense.
Are there any unique challenges with HOAs? Because I'm looking at the reference, it looks like you've done a lot of municipalities and public sector. Anything HOA specific that you've found to be problematic?
No,
We got governing structure.
just making sure that everyone's on the same page, typically in the HOAs, and just, lots of times there's private funding that comes in and then they'll donate it to the municipality or even the HOAs. But I don't know that there's anything specific. What do you mean by that?
Just any unique bureaucracy or anything different, because you've done a lot of, I see like town Hancock and city of Coral Springs, just that we're just different but similar.
That it's the same.
Okay.
It's just when it comes down to maintenance.
One issue that we discussed today, we met out at the Black Pet area, is they have a team that comes in, they're all employees, they're not subcontractors, but they come in and they've got this discipline pretty good. But the one issue that we discussed is they come in, we talked about hours. And the one thing, and I asked what the contract is, that when they come in, because they come in with the team, that the initial was, a team comes in for 2 or 3 weeks to rip up, I think they put all the plumbing in, that we allow that to go on unencumbered. So if somebody's at the pool, which probably won't be open, but if the pool was open because of the overlapping schedules which is, if we can get this approved quickly to Osceola County, the pool will be closed. But if the pool's open and somebody says they're making noise there, that we don't stop the work, right? That they're unimpeded.
And Joe, for clarification, you're referencing the lakeside pool being closed for resurfacing.
Yes, thank you. Yes, yeah, if it lines up, if we can get this done pretty quickly, the noisy part of it will be done when the pool's closed.
As clarification, we don't foresee any closure required for lakeside pool during this project.
No.
With a rare for water or electrical for 1 day, just based on utilities, and that most likely can be avoided.
The only impact is that pavilion that maybe the visiting teams use during swim meets, that pavilion will be out of bounds for a good portion of it as we move that fence in just a little bit to allow the egress
for the equipment to go back and forth from the city.
So this is less a conversation for, thank you. We have a challenge with people outside of the HOA using amenities. We are about to put a very expensive amenity in one of our highest traffic areas that we invite people from outside the community to go to.
Well, we don't.
We did.
The town.
With the food truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, so we do. I think that we're going to need to figure out, we used to have lifeguards. The lifeguards, even though they were there guarding the pool, they did provide a deterrence. There's multiple reasons why they got rid of that. I do think that we then need to look at I don't want to say an amenity protection program, but it's kind of what it needs to be. Because this is going to be something significant. I think this is the right place for it. And I think this makes sense to align it. But I want to make sure that it doesn't turn into another headache down the road where we put in another really cool amenity that we're gonna struggle with. We've kind of had that unintended consequence, here with the playground. So I think we just need to remember that as we get further down the road here.
Thank you. One thing to note is unlike the CDD splash pad in downtown, this one is behind the badge access of the lakeside pool. So it's a secondary access. That wasn't intentional by the master plan. You're correct, but that is still a deterrent.
They still jumped in.
I get it. Yeah. And I think that there's something to be said for, and I get it's a different discussion that we'll have. The having it gated is one thing, but a resident, when someone is trying to, jump on, through the back door with them, come on and tailgate through the gate with them, it's going to happen. And I think the only way that really I can think of that you deter that is there needs to be either an active park and pool monitor, or if the park and pool monitor isn't comfortable with asking people to leave or IDs, then we're going to need to look at actual just security.
Isn't this something we talked about previously about a more interactive camera system?
It is, but I think so.
And I still think that's something, I know it was put off to technology to have them look at it, but this is something I think we need to consider everywhere, where somebody at town hall, when we get 851 fixed, can get on their screen and go, hey, you in the yellow shirt, are you, just want to make sure you're a Celebration resident, you have your card.
Right.
And to Eric's point, I think as we go through this, we're going to have to do this every single iteration of the master plan.
Exactly.
It's
just something that we need to consider.
Yeah, so and then I think we will, I think we have to.
The only other question that I did not hear discussed in the workshop is the lighting adequate for the foot candles required to keep a splash pad open with the existing lighting that's present?
That's a good question.
You and your damn good question.
So I can say nobody's looked at that.
Yeah, so I think it's just a question that we need to know, because then it's gonna be one of those, the pool's open, but the splash pad is closed at dusk.
Yeah, there are 3 light poles that provide light specifically for that area.
Right.
That if it doesn't meet lumens, have the potential of adding fixtures.
Just put a bigger light. Yeah.
Pulse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
I just kind of back to you guys. I just kind of want to understand a little bit about the project management and how that process will look. For the recreation and how you guys plan doing that.
Sure. And just while I've got everyone's attention, I don't want to take too much time, but just to let you know who we are, and it may have already been discussed, but we are a manufacturer of splash pad components. That's what we primarily do. We sell splash pad components. We have an installation division of Splash Pads USA. And so we install nationwide turnkey with our operation. There's no one, to put the blame on to, because we're the manufacturer and we're the installer. The construction process would happen, to answer your question, in 2 stages. The first stage would be the demo. And then, of course, we go through all the process of compaction lifts, piping, pressure tests, everything's bonded, and get ready to a concrete pour. We would pour the concrete and the equipment room pad at the same time. And that process will take about 2 to 2.5 weeks for the first stage. Then we let the concrete breathe prior to the deck coating, because we don't want it to And so you've got to let it breathe and vaporize. So then we'll come back in at a minimum 30 days and then do the final stage, which will take a week and a half to 2 weeks to put the candy on top, do the deck coating and run the system and then train, whoever's going to be maintaining it.
Well, the kids are gonna love that it's candy coated.
Are you on at all during?
I will not be on site, but I will be available. You can always contact me in the office. The site superintendent, he'll be able to answer any questions. I did meet with Christian. We had a good meeting. Sounds like he'll be the point of contact.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Who's gonna project manage? Talk about.
What we're going to do to make it as easy for everyone is we're going to give you an outline of the project and the stages and milestones.
Mhm.
So everybody knows what's happening and then give a report. We're going to give a weekly report.
That's my question. Okay, so you will give a weekly report.
Yes.
Will that go directly to the board or to you and then?
To Christian.
How's that gonna work?
Following our process that we're doing now is
Mhm.
most of our vendors in our projects, we ask the weekly reports to be sent to management and then we compile those for the board's weekly report.
Okay.
In addition to that, my view is initially that weekly report will be a weekly meeting. Before we sign a contract, we will have that detailed project plan. We discussed that today. Usually it's done after the contract.
Okay.
We'll have a good solid outline. And then on that weekly basis will be a representative from Grand Manners, from Splash Pad USA, and myself or another representative from the strategic.
So it's gonna be co-project managed by MPEG and Christian.
That would be my view. I'm not charged, but that would be my view.
All we would ask is that the communications funnel through one voice.
To Christian.
Through
Yes, through
Christian,
Christian.
with a copy of Joe and.
Yeah.
Yes,
The Christian has ultimate oversight for this project.
yes, yes.
Yes, at the
Which I
individual.
would say he's,
But-
he's.
But Joe's on the,
Joe is a consultant, but having been involved in the whole longevity of this and the relationship he already has, Joe's consulting from the owner's rep.
on a volunteer basis.
Yes, on volunteer basis. But
So I'll be out there during those 2 weeks. I'll be out there.
I
every day.
respect your talent, so
Thank you for doing that.
thank
And
you.
just to follow up what he said, we do like to work. I mean, when they come, they work till, sun up till sundown until the job's completed. And so hopefully that's not going to be, an issue. We will be, sometimes there might be things that are happening and if we need to keep quiet, at 7 o'clock, I mean, usually we're not out there, if the sun goes down, we're done, but just want to make sure that we're able to keep working and get the project done in a timely fashion.
I don't think we want to get in your way of getting construction done as quickly as you need to get.
Yeah,
So Christian is aligned with all this. Christian has bandwidth. Christian has all the.
Christian met with Rick and Joe and myself today.
All right.
moving forward.
Can you go out and pull up either page 84 or 85 more deck?
It's like,
So question is, with the splash pad design you provided,
Yes.
what's gonna break? How often is it gonna break? And what's it gonna cost to fix it?
There shouldn't be anything that breaks on the pad itself unless someone takes a sledgehammer, to the slide or there's anything heavy that falls on top of it. There really shouldn't be. If you over chlorinate it, that could be, the over chlorinated, stainless steel has a reaction to chlorine and you could see something that says, think that looks like rust, but it's just over chlorination. But really, and then of course the equipment in the equipment room, but there's not, unless you're not maintaining it properly, sometimes people put full straight acid in the system and it's made for diluted acid, but we're gonna hold your hand and, whoever's maintaining this to make sure you understand whoever's maintaining it and how to do it.
Well, I guess on the maintaining side, that's gonna be GM responsibility.
that will also connect through CQ Aquatics, our vendor, our CPO that's on site every day checking the pools. This would be checking the filtered chemical ratios for the splash pad.
So are we gonna need a new contract with them to monitor this?
It should fold under because they're not taking the kiddie pool anymore, they're taking the splash pad, but that would be what?
Basically, saying water treatment is the kiddie pool.
Yeah.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Is the water treatment splash pad different than regular?
Yes,
Okay, so that we would need.
Is it simpler or more complicated?
it's easier. And the
That's right.
great thing is the chemical feeder has a it records the water quality automatically. So if someone gets sick or something, you have that great thing, you can come back and say the water was fine. It's also remote capable for the chemical feeder. The UV, all the system, the UV system we use is crypto certified, it's APA validated, UL listed, and it's safe for the kids. I mean, safety for the kids is our top priority. So we want to make sure that everything's being maintained right, you know, even though we're passing it off.
So talking about safety, do you have the design you provided? Do you have an in-house design group that put that together?
Yes, yeah.
So my question would be, have you ever had any other projects that puts the rings right in front of the slide? When I look at the rendition, that's a concern where I can see a kid running through the rings toward the slide, someone coming down the slide and taking the ring.
Yeah, we discussed that actually at the meeting today. That was one of the items we talked about. And I'm in agreement, I am happy to take all of the elements that we have there and come up with a design to move those out of the way. We can, to use the same elements, but come up with a new design. Because what had happened was the mega dump was there, and then we implemented that slide platform. I don't see it as a safety problem, but I'm with you. I would think that it's better to use those rings or arches in a better way, and we can reconfigure it.
So I guess there would be an opportunity that
Yes,
if we were to approve this bid tonight, you could redesign with the
Yes.
existing pieces to
Yes.
produce some.
Yeah, we talked about that today, just in case you didn't follow. The slide wasn't there initially.
Yeah.
And when we added, you know, it was the last, we said we do it, and they agreed to do it for the same price that instead of the bucket stumping. We thought slightly better.
Right, I appreciate.
Yeah, that's-
I'd like to replace them with a slide. I just
Yeah, so
like
that
to
would-
replace it.
Yeah.
It's right.
Yeah.
no, we'd like to do that. In fact, I'd like to propose, if possible, instead of arches, if it's possible to use water loops. They're just, the kids interact with those better than the arches. You can see that's an arch, you know, if it's, I don't know if you're opposed to having, you know, 4 water loops instead of arches.
We're not, I don't think we're here to micromanage your design. I think that is up to Joe and the rest of the
Yes.
community and you.
Absolutely.
We do not want to get into the decisions
I
on.
think from a board perspective, I'm saying I want to improve design.
Okay.
That's
If it
what-
goes back to, I'm back, perfectly fine, but
Yeah.
Okay.
what is here, I'm not going in yet.
Right, but I'm just saying, we're not qualified as a board to make decisions about what is safe and what is unsafe, what should be and should not be. But Joe and the folks from Splash Pads are, and he's already said he wants to make some changes to that will be better for the kids.
What I'm seeing too with this proposal, the process, I have the utmost confidence that they're going to.
Yeah, I do too.
Just based on what I'm seeing here, this was a really stand-up proposal. So I think.
Yeah, I appreciate MVAC's due diligence on the company and bringing Splashback USA here. I think they did a phenomenal job there. I think this design piece is lacking and needs some improvement, which apparently is in the works already. So as long as that continues and you give us a stellar design that comes back for.
Sure, absolutely.
I think everything will be good.
Yep, and sooner than later.
Yes.
One other item that you mentioned, Joe brought up in the contract about the delay fee.
Mhm.
And, you know, because we are,
Liquidated.
we're okay to just remove it altogether. Because we are in control of the power. As long as you have the power and the water there, we're doing everything else. So we're okay to just completely remove that. Okay,
And we have power.
Rick, thank you. I know you came from Salt Lake and I appreciate the distance that you came. Multiple days you've
It's a
been.
long drive.
no. Well, you know, with COVID, there was a lot of the, wasn't doing the meetings, it was more remote, so it's kind of, you know, it's kind of fun to see people again.
We appreciate you coming to talk to us.
We appreciate it.
One last question on, I guess, water pressure in general. You'll have the power within to handle the water pressure for all these things, so it's not an issue where a sprinkler head will not pop up, but
That's
as long as it's powered, everything's gonna be fully functional, and then
on
there's
the,
a certain water pressure on the grounds that that's not gonna hit someone in the eye and
It's
hurt
not.
someone.
yeah, but yeah, it is, they're all gonna have their own ball valves that you can adjust the. The water cannons are actually set with the hoses that we use. They're not allowed, they can't push any faster than what is in there. So it's a great setup that we have. They're a hose that actually the same type of thing you see in a car wash with a pressure washer, but it's not the same type of pressure, but it's restricted. So yeah, it is. Everything is safe. The water velocity is safe. Yeah.
How many of these
In
are
fact, the health department won't allow, they won't sign it off.
for how long?
If you don't.
14, 15 years.
So you built one of these a month for 14 or 15 years.
That's what I just told.
Yeah, but
Did you kill
yeah.
any kids with a water cannon yet?
What's that?
Kill any kids with a water cannon?
No.
All right.
Yeah, oh, the other too is the water cannons are adjustable. So just so you know, that's the other part of that. is They're adjusted on 30-degree increments, so they can't spray and hit the little toddler. It'll be in a, in an area, because typically when we have more space, we want to keep the toddlers over here and the older kids, the 9, 10, 11, 12 years. Yeah.
You don't want to shoot it into the pool.
So you have nothing to worry about. That's right.
They would do it. Yeah. You have to, you would have. You still would.
Well, and they're doing cities and
Yeah.
municipalities, so this is like,
Yeah.
that's way more risky.
I will call the question.
I would like that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, you kid, you kid, equal, so the Eric can play in it.
I get better exposure, but
You do?
Dawn's the first one going down the slide.
Yeah. I'll take my grandkids down, I'll put them down. Next up is D, which is a motion to approve the design guidelines for exterior fans, gutters and downspouts and the recreation and play equipment, from, the Architectural Review Committee, I assume.
I'll motion to approve.
Second? Discussion.
So we have to discuss if portable basketball sets can be allowed.
Yes.
I will just say I think they should be allowed, but we should require it to be a limit of one per home.
So, I guess, I think we need to have some other stipulation, because some driveways are quite long, others are very short. So if it's right against there, then that's almost like an easement in the county for like a fence and things of that nature. So I think there's gotta be,
Talking about boards, rolling ones, right?
Yeah.
Not poles or,
I don't think we could just say one per thing.
well, Gary has a comment he'd like to make
This is from the joint committee, we took note.
from Ark and Covenants.
Yes. The issue is not whether or not portable basketball sets are being allowed. Of course they're allowed. The issue is we're writing, because it says they must be stored when not in use, in the garage or out of public view. We are writing up people for leaving their portable basketball sets outdoors at night when there's no one around. And that happens a lot because they're heavy. And you can imagine the kids or the parents, it is not much fun to drag them up the driveway every day. And that's what they're being written for.
So what's the proposed change?
They don't have
Well,
one.
we had lots of discussion and that's why we're coming to you. Now recall that we have homes in Celebration where the driveway is in the front of the house next to the street. And we have a lot of homes where the driveway is in the rear. The issue is if you leave them out in the front driveway, they become an obstacle to traffic.
How does it become an obstacle if it's in your driveway?
Because they put it at the end of the driveway so they can play on the level surface, which is the street.
But that would not be the driveway then, is it? I mean, you can leave anything you want on your own driveway.
Right, but this has been in existence since 2009. And we're coming to you saying this happens a lot and people are getting frustrated because they're being written up. Other issues are if you leave them out at night in their driveway, it's still an obstacle because people have been bumping into at night in the driveway, it's dark back in the house.
The people whose driveway it is,
the problem is they don't fully get back onto the driveway all the time, or they fall.
so they're hanging out into the alley a little bit.
Right.
Because I think Jared and I are thinking, the
No,
thing is up against the garage.
No,
Think
Who cares?
about the trash can if you guys.
So
But it's the same thing with that. Who puts their trash cans inside? Most people do not put their trash cans
Well,
inside.
remember Florida statute changed in July 1st, and they've allowed you to leave it out 24 hours prior to 24 hours after.
Right, but that's what I just said was, most people don't put their trash cans away.
Right, now Celebration still requires you to pull it up. But because the state law changed, we can't write anybody up because we have garbage service twice a week. So 24 hours prior to 24 hours later.
Yeah, well, let's go back so that rather than getting off gone to the garbage tangent. Let's stick with the basketball courts for a second.
I think you have two issues already. You got a front and a back, right?
Well, but no, but
No,
what if we just said they're okay in the driveway, which is the private property? The driveway ends at the sidewalk.
Yep.
Because the sidewalk is now easement. From the sidewalk into the street is now a public easement.
Yeah.
So therefore, if the basketball court is from that line between the sidewalk and the driveway, and it doesn't cross over, then technically, hypothetically, it would be legal. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
If you, from the back, it's not an issue as long as it's on their property. I can explain that because you're not obstructing the alleyway.
Right, as long as it's not reaching the alley.
But on the front, we have so many different requirements of what a front of the house looks like. And if you have your basketball court just 3 feet on your long driveway,
Yeah.
that kind of is an eyesore to the entire street.
Well,
And
I think we all admit that they're not pretty. But we're trying not to say because if you have a driveway that's 10 feet, which is big enough for a car, and it's at 5 feet, is that too close to the street or too?
I guess that for a front of a house, is it that you cannot obstruct the sidewalk?
That's what I would think. Anything from the sidewalk into the street.
At the front of the
You
street,
can't.
it's gotta be behind the sidewalk.
Gotta be behind the sidewalk.
It can't be in the alleyway as far as overhang.
And it can't be into the alley.
There's a thought process, this would reduce downstream violations or what's kind of the
Well, now we have, I like the bifurcation there, but it's also gonna be, difficult for everyone to understand. Because yes, in the front of the driveway, theoretically, the easement starts where the sidewalk does. That's a well-defined point, and that can be written into the guideline. Of course, the original issue that I think that brought this up before any of us lived here, except for a few, was that it was an aesthetic issue.
It was aesthetics from Disney.
Right,
It still is probably.
it still is, and that's why people.
That's why I made a specific point to say one only, because if you have a 10-foot driveway, you can have two. And then you can have a game back and forth, and then it's,
You should have, I agree with the one only. And on the alley, it's just the same to me, Gary, because the alley is the asphalt section.
Yep.
Right, now there is a 5-foot easement in the rear.
Yeah, but that easement still, I consider my easement, there's no delineation between the easement.
The reason I ask is because we have to write this up legally.
Right, so it does not cross from the concrete to the asphalt in the rear.
We can't do that
Why?
because it's not, we can't dictate what we can and cannot put in an easement that we don't own.
Yeah, I think, well, no, we're saying that it's because it's my driveway.
I'm totally with you.
I have to fix my driveway.
Yes.
I don't think, who would complain about that as an issue?
The only thing that would happen, in my opinion, you would treat this the same as landscaping.
Yeah,
So you landscape the easement.
because it's not permanent, it's temporary.
Correct. So when we had Comcast and Smart City come here and they put all the fiber lines in, right? They fixed a lot of the landscaping that was in the easement, but not 100%. Because if you put something in the easement, it's known that it could get torn up by someone that needs to use the easement. The basketball hoop, in my opinion, would be in the same regard.
But it's sitting on concrete.
I get you.
Before they tear up concrete, they're gonna let me know.
Yeah, or they should just push the darn thing out of the way.
Right, it does
The
both.
other thing too is the basketball is not a permanent fixture.
Right, I think
You
we're
do
making,
facts, then-
we may be making mountains out of the tiniest little molehills.
So I think the question that I would then pose is to management, from when we see an enforcement side of this. What's the complications of enforcement for kind of what we're talking about here? Because I don't want to get to the situation where we start to have the inspector explain to someone, well, you have a 5-foot area here, but here there's a sidewalk, and maybe that's what we need to do an education blitz on? Or is this the kind of thing where is the concern that we're seeing from the inspectors more that the basketball hoop's just out and it's in violation, or is there actually a problem, like it's obstructing?
So it's out and it's in violation is the first one. And the second one is there's issues with especially the ones in the alleyways, is they get left like right at the end of the driveway or sticking into the alleyway, and you have a lot of blind corners in the alleyways. So it's a safety concern.
So I know truck, there was concern with the trucks clipping. Like if you have the hoop, there's one on the other side of Mosaic, that I walk by. The hoop technically overhangs the alley. And so
Then that would be in violation.
if a truck were to drive by, you clip it, yes. So, I mean, I think that's the piece.
So as long as if you're saying the basketball, the mobile or movable basketball hoop and all its
No
parts
part of it can
must
extend.
be on your property and not overhang into an easement or an alleyway
Sidewalk.
or a sidewalk. I mean,
Can that be, is that clear enough for an inspector to inspect?
Yes. Now, what you're saying so far is the original 2009, as written now, says the violation is when it's not in use, it must be out of public view or in the garage. What I'm hearing from you is that is eliminated now.
That's too, I mean, it's nice, but it's unrealistic.
People don't even put cars in their garages, so it doesn't.
I see what my car-
I'm getting it on the record by asking. you.
Absolutely.
So. it's
Yeah,
okay to
that's
leave
what,
it out.
is that what we're thinking?
Yes.
It's okay to leave it out day and night, all the time. It just has to be,
On your property.
on the driveway when not in use. And
None of it overhanging into
not
the.
take overhanging street, or the alleyway.
and one per household.
One per.
One per household.
So it needs to be, it's okay.
So no, we'll have to rewrite it. So don't want you to approve this.
Yeah,
design
We need to
guidelines.
say maintained in a presentable manner.
Yes, because that was the thing that I was gonna add.
Yeah, no rusted.
Oh, that's already in there.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, that was his.
Is there, I'm not trying to add things to this. We're saying driveway a lot, but I'm thinking of like different neighborhoods in town. We maybe need to specifically say driveway so that it doesn't end up tilted on the grass next to the
We
driveway.
need to specifically say driveway, not, yeah.
Because how does a service area, Spring Lake, they own the driveway, right? That's not considered the zero lot line, so that's their, so they can put it on the driveway
Yes.
in the townhouse.
Yes.
One of these, yeah, okay.
So on the driveway.
But you do have a point, a lot of them are off the driveway, so they can play in the driveway.
Exactly. And that's like, I think of Lake Evelyn has very small driveways, but it's got to be on the driveway. Otherwise it will live forever, kill the grass. Then there's a whole other thing.
And then if they can't move it off the driveway, they should be written up and reminded it's not.
So when you're bringing up something new, do you want the foundation for portable basketball to be sitting on concrete, or is it okay to put it on the grass?
No, we said driveway.
So
Which
you
means
want-
concrete.
You want the inspectors to write up people when the basketball goal is sitting on the side in the grass
Correct.
and
Yes.
not on the concrete.
Yes.
That is something that never existed before.
We just added it.
I know, and we will be citing people because that happens a lot.
Well, in the sense of right now, they have it sitting out, but if they're written up, they're not written up for having it in the grass, they're written up. because
It's out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
So we're meeting those who want basketball courts, which is a lot of parents. And some adults, we're meeting them 3/4 of the way.
because here's the way that I look at it with it sitting on the grass. It's sitting on the grass. The grass isn't dead as long as I can't see it because the basketball hoops on top of it. Well, when you move that basketball,
It's
hoop,
dead.
there's dead grass. Now I'm gonna cite you with dead grass.
But they were already being cited for that.
Yeah, they were already,
Correct, yeah.
they were already out of compliance just by having it
Well,
out.
as you just mentioned, with inspectors, this does add further complications. So if they do write up, as we're stating now, they do write it up, that it is sitting in the grass. So what does the homeowner do when they get the notice? They move it on the pavement. The inspector goes back to check if they did it. Now the grass is dead. Now they're getting another, so it,
Is that already happening?
No.
No, because they're supposed to remove, because the question now is it can't be out.
So
No, I
that's,
mean, like right now, if
But if you specify
yes,
that
that
it
style
must
of
be in,
violation does happen.
it must be in the
But
driveway.
it should self-correct in that, if you write them up and they put it on the driveway, then you write them up to fix the grass, and the grass is fixed, it's not an issue, because they're keeping it on the driveway, so it should be fine.
well, what they'll do is, it'll be on the grass, you write them up. The next day, they'll move it to the concrete. And then and then you inspect it, say, you moved it, thank you very much. And then they'll push it back on the grass when you want to play basketball.
Yeah, and I guess.
Then they need to move it back before the next inspection.
I don't know.
I mean, everybody's gonna gain. Gaining the HOA system is a tale as old as homeowners association.
I'm just trying to make it easy for others to
That's why I think the term concrete,
respect.
But it's going to result in more letters, more administrative costs, and something that ultimately can be fixed in 2 seconds or something. That's where we need to be balancing that. So
So,
I don't know.
right now, everybody's not in compliance who has one, period. If it's out there and it's not daytime, they're not in
They're
compliance.
not using.
And they're not being written up.
We're dramatically changing this.
They are running up.
Some are, but some aren't.
Running for scope is something that need to be concentrated on other things.
Yeah.
Drippage, black drippage, right? Black drippage, but that's
We
something-
just had 3 at the last covenants meeting that were written.
Do you know how hard to get the black off that strip edge is?
I'm not your black drippage.
Man,
Don,
oh,
Meeting.
yeah, oh, man.
well, he was complaining about the black strip.
So are we sending this back to ARC with the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't recommend you approve it tonight. You can approve the other 2 because they're.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so work plus 3 is exterior fans, gutters and downspouts.
Yes. You have 2 others that are ready to go.
So who made the motion?
I did.
Do we want to move them?
Yes.
No, just 2.
Well, why don't we work together on it and we'll send it back to you.
Oh, let's just,
Yeah, so.
yeah, let's
table
table
this.
it next meeting.
I'll just amend my motion to table.
All right.
You don't approve the
What,
the other two.
wait, hang on, hang on.
You
No, no.
Two?
No, he's saying you're gonna amend the whole thing, right?
No, but we have other ones. We have gutters and downspouts, exterior fans.
But he's gonna modify all of it?
It's all.
No,
Oh, I thought you were gonna modify.
So I would,
Jared, you wanna just do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the,
Fans, gutters.
fans, gutters and downspouts.
Yes, right.
Second,
second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Gary, very much. Now, we need a motion to approve, Calyx change order for 11,855 from the capital fund. Second,
Second.
Gary, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. F, motion to approve moving $170,000 from Regions to Truist and closing the Regions bank account. Second,
Second. So yeah, just to provide some backup for you guys. There was an understanding that there was a MasterCard, I guess, that in the regions was needed for liquor license, but it turns out not the case anymore, not used. They do have a Visa card there, but it's currently not used at all. Then Jennifer doesn't really have access to regions and stuff, and not only the president and treasurer have, which I don't know why they don't have access, but it is what it is, so. And.
so you have to sign this to move the money?
Yes.
This was the account and stuff.
Plus the account, okay. good.
But the steps would be that so right now there's 10,000 in the checking account and 173,000 in the savings account money market. So the first step would be to move this 170 to Truist, which then could be a conversation for the finance committee of whether there's a money market mutual fund, or if they do a similar thing like the.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we checked on Truist rates.
So if we move the money, there's a new thing that I think it's like 365 or something that Jennifer can chase down. So that's there, but the thing that we can't do it immediately, and why we move the funds first and then fill up the regions account, is there's currently about 300,000 in rewards points, which is about approximately a $3,000 statement credit. So what we need grant manager to do is for some routine activity that you're doing, instead of using the Amex card, put it on the Visa. Then when that bill comes due, use the statement credit for the rewards points to pay off that balance. So we zero out that's 3,000 in free money that gets taken out. Then, once that's paid off, then you can work to close the savings account, close the checking account, move the rest of the funds to Truist. So
Sounds like a great.
kind of like a 3-step process, and
Can we make sure Jennifer does the notes on that very clearly so that that's understood how that $3,000 disappeared, and like that's a future nightmare.
For the auditor?
Yeah. So call a question?
Yeah, call the question. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Fee waivers, motion?
Did we have screen? Oh, we never did that.
We should say.
Motion for fee waivers and noncompliance.
Motion for fee waivers, compliance, second? Second, Katie. All those in favor? Aye, opposed? Now it's time for the management update in discussion land. think that's Jacob.
Luckily,
We already made him speak 2 pages.
Well, he can speak less now.
with the, yes, exactly. And with the committee updates, that took a lot of the items out of the management update. The management update can be found on page 248 of the board packet in its full detail. Some main items to review are with the shade structures themselves. We do have a shipment date of 1. I'm trying, I have not received information on exactly which one. I'm assuming this is going to be our East Village one, is going to be shipping on March 5th. That shipping, they're estimating about a 4 to 8 week shipping time. So once that arrives on site, we'll finally be able to have one of those shade structures. The other one is still in fabrication.
And these are being made in China, I'm assuming.
I mean, that's a very reasonable assumption, quite honestly.
Yeah, because that's a long haul. It's got to be coming by boat.
It's been definitely.
Free tariff, I hope.
Did the other ones shipped pretty quick though, right? When we were doing the pool ones, once
Yeah.
they said they were shipping, they were like up and ready in like 2 weeks.
We don't really trust the shipping time on these.
Okay.
I agree. I think it's going to be faster than the 4 to 8 week
Yeah.
shipping time.
Yeah.
Getting a date of shipping is better.
Bringing it over on a dump.
So you'll keep us updated.
Yes, and we are partnering with Diane on removing the top shade element of the East Village or East Crescent Playground and capping those 4 posts.
Removing the little roof.
Yeah.
The little roof has to be removed for the shade structure to be installed.
Got
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, that's it?
It's a great night. That was lovely.
Yes.
That was it.
We do want to note Walter has started. He's the new maintenance supervisor. He's handling the day-to-day operations for the maintenance team. He's hit the ground running, which is freeing up Christian to do more of the big picture and the projects. So he's handling the day-to-day of the team and Christian project oriented.
Last week in this week, Christian's been doing a whole lot of onboarding and training with Walter. And they've done a lot of work on rezoning of the maintenance techs. Now we're about to get a list of kind of the short list from our corporate recruiters to fill the other 2 open maintenance tech positions. We wanted to get him in, really see what the needs for these roles were going to be before we started interviewing the candidates.
Any update on the bathroom, like how the bathroom projects are going?
We do. Before I get into that, just one more on onboarding, since we discussed one. The other onboarding is Christina Cooper. We had a Alexa who has been with us in resident services, so a front desk for many years now at this point, has accepted a promotion kind of within the field. It's outside of real manage in our company. We're happy for her to be able to move on and grow her talents. But with that, we had an open position. Luckily, we only had that position. We were able to fill it and get the person on site with only 2 days of vacancy from Alexa's departure. So we are training Christina Cooper in our resident service office at the front desk.
Didn't replace her with a little box.
Yeah, still with a person, a nice face to greet you and support all the questions and inquiries. The restroom and improvement project for the lakeside pool restrooms and the spring park pool restrooms. We actually are going to be seeing from Darbo a timeline timeline for that project. I want to say they're looking at starting around Wednesday, March 5th.
Great.
Yes.
And
Today, we just, got a lot of
got that,
information.
All right. Any other questions for management?
yeah, timeline for Long Meadow Playground. Any start date, projected start date for that?
That one is still on track to the timeline that we presented.
Mid to end March.
Thank
Your biggest tripping point there is the shipment of the pod climbers. That was
So still,
that was the longest lead time. So as soon as we have a confirmed shipment date on that, then everybody's hitting the ground running to start moving.
and then, I think, I know, I don't want to put you on the spot if you're still here, but I remember you making a recommendation about the turf and caring for the turf, you know, especially at Spring Park after we added it. And we just had the turf. Can you kind of explain that and how we're going to handle that going forward?
Thank you. Yeah, so that's a great part of preventive maintenance that we've been looking at with our town hall team. So as we all know, Spring Park Playground gets a lot of use. The turf is relatively new, I think September was installed, and we were already starting to see large impacts to that turf. To test out our new turf vendor, and whenever we were reviewing all of our turf vendors for the Long Meadow project, we asked them all if they have any turf rejuvenation programs. Most don't. The other one that did will only rejuvenate their turf. So this was being by a different contractor, they wouldn't touch it. The one that was just approved tonight and for that project does offer this program.
Is that Top Turf?
It is, yeah, Top Turf. It does offer a program where they come out and do kind of a restoration and rejuvenation of turf. We brought them out to do that actually last week and sent a notice out in the Monday Matters. When they were on site, we did not see, it didn't perform miracles. It didn't, make it exactly stand up and look like new, but it definitely did help it and is going to prolong the life. They recommended it much more frequently than we don't really budget for something like that. To do it multiple times a year would be a financial impact, especially with all of our turf playgrounds. Christian, our director of maintenance and facilities, actually was working closely with the vendor when they were on site and learned how to do the process, as well as what tools are needed. We're able to buy the tools and start this process in-house for about half the cost of what it would cost us to do North Village, which was what we were expecting to do if we liked this. So we're not going to be moving forward with bringing in a third-party company. We do plan to move forward doing turf rejuvenation or kind of preventative maintenance, which has helped stand up the blades, but an infill to help the turf as part of our in-house
Maintenance. And we're already saving half by doing that for Long Meadow, right?
For
Or what'd you say?
the old
Not Long Meadow.
older children's playground at North Village.
North Village.
Turf is not up for replacement. That's only in the.
So we're going to refurb that.
We're going to refurb that and we're going to do that probably in-house. We're just right now looking at sourcing a kind of rotator brush. Yeah, power broom. And then it just takes a special infill and blowers, and a cedar.
And that will be ongoing maintenance for all the playground. That's wonderful.
Good.
The communications section is excellent. The analytics here are really wonderful. Whoever did this is fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we asked our department managers to provide heavy input in the departmental sections. That's where you kind of notice some personality and some information in those, and then we align them all to one form.
When they reference the newsletter performance, what is that?
The newsletter performance, I'm wanting to say that is going to be our Monday Matter Friday Flash. That is not the magazine.
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah.
yeah, the ELET, and that's going to be the retention to those, or the click, how many clicks there were.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was Friday Flash or Monday Manager, or a combination of both.
To my understanding, it's a combination of both.
Okay. Yeah, this is very good. Thank you for this. And also, I do want to say the communication that went out today randomly about where services are, that was great. Whoever's idea that was, it was great to see just that here, just in case you don't know, here's where we are.
Thank you. That was a collaboration of our communications team and the communications committee.
Yeah, that was good.
Is the park grading still being done on a monthly basis?
Yes, that was in actually, I think it's in this packet as well. That was in the workshop packet as well, when we were as a discussion item for the park projects, is where that's being located. It's also
It's in the metrics section of the packet.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
When are you guys was talked about here, I believe this was at the workshop, we're gonna need to have a conversation about vehicles.
Yeah.
And I know we're kind of kicking that can down the road a little bit because we don't want to talk about it. I think we need to talk about it.
What are we talking about at the next workshop?
So I would like to see if the board agrees, we just need to do this and
Let's
figure
put
it
it on
out.
the agenda for the workshop and talk about the options, and then we can make an action in March.
So I think that, do we need to have that go to the finance committee before it comes to the board for a
Why don't we, I was gonna say, why don't we bring it to the board for a workshop, then send it to finance, and before we then let them help craft the action.
Can they do the business case too, like they did last time? I think it was one of the first
So we'll
ones.
provide a business case. I mean, the financial impact will be what you're being asking impact for, as that will be coming out of the capital.
So your workshop's on the 12th, finance committee meets on the 18th, so right in between the two meetings. So you'll have time to get their input before the packet is published.
For the meeting.
And then,
We're looking at a full size, I was kind of waiting as well to see with the hiring of Walter, what the business need of a vehicle would be, if we could get by with a compact, smaller truck. It's looking like a full-size truck is what is needed for this.
So,
yeah,
so do we need to think about, I've heard rumblings about this, something in Island Village for the maintenance staff, like a.
Yeah, we've mentioned that to Mattamy to keep an eye out of where they could do that. I think it would benefit to bring CDD into that discussion because they're gonna need space out there as well.
Okay.
So if there's an opportunity for us to share a space out there and share a cost of, building a location out there, then I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
Yeah, another shed.
this should have a bathroom though.
I will
Yes.
mention,
Yes.
I will mention that there is discussion that master plan, even at the level, because we have to do that here at the maintenance shed right down the street here. Someone's looking into the Fort Wilderness cabins that are for sale,
Perfect.
that have office space, bathrooms and a kitchenette. That is something that could just be located and then electrical and plumbing. So that
Really?
could be an option for them.
Yeah.
They're really looking at all the options of how to get what we need and also not spend $700,000.
Yeah.
We're noticing, right now, we do have two of our town hall NEVs out of commission. One is an inspector NEV and one is a maintenance NEV that is also hurting this. It's also, we're only able to kind of combat this slightly. One, we do have managers using personal vehicles for most of their work on site. Two, we are short two maintenance technicians. So that is kind of helping, but we still are short vehicles right now as those who are waiting on parts. There is a concern that once we get a quote back for one of the older NEVs, that the quote may be unjustifiable and it may be up for replacement. At that time, we can discuss with the expansions as well, if we may be needing to look at replacing some of our maintenance NEVs with trucks or smaller trucks, just because right now our maintenance team cannot access Island Village or Spring Lake with the
Well,
NEVs.
and that's why I want to have this discussion at a workshop, because one of the things that bothers me, I know NEVs are cute. They're just cute, but they're ridiculously expensive for what you get. That we could go to the used car market and buy used Nissan Leafs for $5,000 that have a battery that'll go 80 or 90 or 100 miles and can drive on a highway.
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning.
Yeah.
So I really think that's part of a bigger conversation about future vehicles. The reason we had NEVs was because it was the cute new thing. But again, with Island Village, they start to make a lot less sense.
Yes.
They're a lot smaller.
And Spring Lake. Spring Lake's also another issue. You can't get there legally with a NEV. So we need to talk about that as a bigger discussion workshop. Okay? Let's move on to service area process improvement review. This is yours, right? How long do you want to go?
I don't want to go long. The only thing I want to bring up, so I believe it's been sent out to all the committees. I'll tell you right now, the first item about meetings, nobody likes that.
It's in your bylaws.
Yeah, why do they not
So
like
to
that?
provide a little, I mean, I want to provide some more information.
They don't believe that they're governed under 720,
Of course they are.
but they're not a meeting of a quorum of a board of directors, technically. They're a committee. So anyway,
Yeah, so often what this is, the concerns of the meetings need to be noticed within 48 hours and that they're going to be recorded sessions. To provide some clarity to those that are not aware, we're not asking any more work to be done by the committee members during this. All of that's done by the management staff as far as the booking and the noticing of the meetings. That has provided some level of clarification to some.
Why is there concern then?
Yes, but I'm trying to understand, what is the issue with having a meeting that's noticed
There-
and recorded?
it should be, honestly, because it's
Huh?
transparency. and-
Yeah, some of this is that they feel that it adds too much bureaucracy to the process and that they feel that it should be on management to fully manage.
It is.
It is.
You're gonna do this.
Isn't it as simple as just setting up a Zoom meeting 48 hours in advance?
It
and
is.
Sending them the email, so they follow it.
It's the same thing that we do with the board.
With what?
With the board.
Yeah, but are they under the impression that they have to physically meet in person versus like what Andrew said, maybe being able to do it
What do you think? Is that
a Zoom?
an issue? Do they
They
realize?
be all,
It's a few noisy service areas beyond, I think, many committees do we have? 11?
8, you'll soon possibly have 9 soon.
All right, so I think for the most part, they would probably go along with this, but a few of them have said, but very.
Even if it
But
was,
often the issue is too that they've changed the dates. Not everyone, this is, service area to service. Some of them do change the dates quite frequently and that 48 hours.
Then that's what the issue is.
Yeah.
That is also going to assist our service area team that is currently,
Yes. How can we support it if there's no consistency in meetings?
yeah, and it adds more back end work of changing meetings. And then that also doesn't provide an equal platform for the rest of the committee sometimes if they were to schedule it out.
And the other residents of that service area to be able to attend.
Right. That's the biggest part to me.
Yeah.
Is that transparency to their other homeowners. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're a lawyer, I'm not. Don't we get to dictate?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's,
You point them to the.
here's the
committees
thing.
too, so if they don't like it.
Your third amended and restated bylaws as recorded in the county, section 6.3, service area committees. In the last paragraph, it specifically states, in the conduct of its activities, each service area committee shall abide by the notice and quorum requirements applicable to the board under sections 3.9 and 3.11, and the procedural requirements set forth in sections 3.13, 3.14, and 3.15. That's effectively treating them like a 720 organization.
This is not negotiable. then.
This is not negotiable.
All right.
We don't need to discuss it.
In the second iteration of the,
but all those meetings can be virtual.
they can be full.
It says that right here in letter C.
Yeah.
You have a hand up in the audience.
Central.
Just one question, I'm on a service area for my own information because there is a little bit of confusion about this. Are you referring to the recording aspect of it at just the quarterly meetings or the meetings that we meet with Jan?
If you meet and have quorum, you need to have,
Every meeting?
it needs to be a notice.
Okay.
Yeah, for the benefit of
Okay,
all residents.
anything else on service area?
No.
I think that was clarified. Now, we are required to do this.
This question.
Yep.
Are those recordings open to the entire community or just some service areas?
Technically public record. man.
It's technically a public.
HOA.
Why would you?
Oh, I'm just saying.
Yeah, if they want
There's
to-
any privacy,
yeah,
there needs to be-
they can.
that's such-
They can.
Make sure that that's not an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the January contract metrics.
We don't discuss those until April. They're just there for your review.
Okay, so we've got it. I was looking at it. Yes, okay, that's good stuff. Now, because, by the way,
Do you want to just, I know we're not going to talk about it. Was there any concern this first month of putting them together or anything?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, we don't have to talk about the actual metrics, but just.
The report is nice. This is a nice view of
I
it.
was gonna
Yeah.
ask if that's
I like the-
you that.
I do too.
yeah. The report made a lot of sense to me. It was really, for my little tiny brain, it was very.
Brief, yes, it was good.
I got it, and
So we get these monthly and then we
It'll be in your,
discuss.
it'll be in your board packet monthly.
Then we
And
discuss
then
it.
we'll discuss first quarter in your April board meeting.
all right. Now, and I would like to ask all the board members to please stick around afterwards. We have a little tiny executive session, and trust me, it's gonna be little tiny. Okay, not gonna be a lot. It's gonna be little tiny. But before we do that, do we have any board comments?
Yeah, just a couple.
Oh, you have a board comment. Yes, sir.
I do, yeah, just, I want to say thank you to the community for the opportunity to serve on the board this past year and the respect it's given me. Overall, my self-evaluation of the 2024 board performance is a big positive, included fixing the Spring Park playground, remediation plan and process for Long Meadow Playground Park, upgrade the bathrooms at Lakeside and Spring Park, improvements in numerous parks in town, performance-driven management contract, hiring a great community manager, and a capital assessment change to support improvements in celebration. Some negatives were our slow performance of our chosen vendor on shade structures, the poor condition of the dog park, and need for updated voting guidelines, and then town hall still being finalized. I know we were trying to get that done last year, but that was a bear to take on. But I am proud to have served our community alongside the directors beside me up here. 2024 was a pivotal year for our community in getting back on track, and I look forward to the continued progress. Town hall is the 2025 project the community excited to see completed, and then focus moves toward upcoming replacement reserve projects being Lakeside and North Village playgrounds, pool houses, and parks. While I will no longer be sitting on the board, I plan to submit my volunteer application for committee role in continuing to support this board and our community. I am thankful for the responsibility bestowed upon me by the community this past year. and hope you were satisfied with my performance. Thank you.
Yes.
By the way, on the finance committee, I hope you're gonna sign up for finance committee.
He's going for art.
Okay. And by the way, you do have one more meeting.
I know, but I'm not voting.
I know, but you gotta show up so that we can thank you officially.
All right.
All right, that sounds good. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
We are going to go into executive session very, very briefly. And I do mean very, very briefly, but this is a personnel issue, which means we can't have a public meeting on it. And thank you all for your attendance and comments. Thank you, see you. Thank you all. Thank you.